earlier history plays I've written, I've tended to want to write about stories that are vague in their historical information or context, or because it gave me more to imagine and to make up about the situation. And what I was fascinated by in Paul's story was the opposite, was everything that's known, trying to inhabit what's known, trying to inhabit what he's been through. With the play, I've described it now as a history and a memoir and a biography, but it was also a documentary. I mean, there's a real documentary aspect to it, a real found text aspect. I mean, much of the first act is derived from literally things that we wrote to each other and to his own writing and journalism. The second act is very closely derived from recordings I made when we spent time together in the Arctic. So I stayed very, very close to what could be considered, historical fact. There was probably a little bit more fictional license taken with some elements of maybe my own story, because it didn't feel as important. Do you know what I mean? It didn't feel like history. It was sort of so little things that maybe had to do with my experience in Wisconsin or things like that. But even that is very truthful. Some people, there's a short monologue in the second act that touches on September 11th, 2001, and some people have asked me, audience members have asked me, did that really happen? Were you there? Because maybe it seemed like too pat, because part of what haunts Paul about that photograph is he draws a straight line from that picture to 9/11. He sees that picture, the effect that picture had on U.S. foreign policy being a huge inspirational moment for Al-Qaeda. So he blames himself in some ways crazily for these last two wars. So when the monologue about 9/11 comes up, some people have wondered, did that really happen to you? And it did. That's part of my story too, and that was part of another thread of connection between Paul and I, and between millions of people in the case of 9/11 and someone like Paul. So no, it's been remarkably, again, it feels like there's been so much serendipity in this play, with things kind of falling together, and a lot of what's come together has literally been the facts have sort of just kind of worked out in a way that felt compelling to me.